Analysis and quantitative breakdown. Original transcript word count, estimated from full 78, 381 characters, averaging 5. 5 characters per word including spaces. Approximately 14, 00 words. New script target, 14, 00 words. Matching duration for equivalent speaking time at 150 words minute. Number of blocks, 7 blocks. Meta per block, 200 words. Limit maximum absolute, 2050 words. Margin, plus 50 words. Allowed, 1, 952, 050 words per block. Block 1. The crystal champagne glass exploded against Liana's forehead before she could even register the swing. She crumpled hard, her swollen 8-month pregnant belly twisting awkwardly as she shielded it, her knees slamming into the gleaming granite tiles of Riverside Plaza with a thud that reverberated through the bustling holiday atrium. Twinkling fairy lights overhead smeared into a dizzying blur of silver and crimson, while something sticky and warm, blood mixed with sparkling wine, trickled down her cheek. The festive shoppers around her halted in stunned silence, their gift bags swinging limply like limp party streamers, all eyes locked on the pregnant black woman sprawled out on the floor, her emerald gown hiking up her thighs, her coiled locks unraveling from their elegant updo. "That's what happens when low-class trash tries to play dress-up," sneered Marcus Hale from above her, his voice booming across the polished stone like a verdict from on high. He looked transformed now, decked out in a bespoke tuxedo, flashy diamond cufflinks, and his new fiancée clinging to his elbow with perfectly French manicured claws that had never known the grit of minimum-wage shifts or scraping pennies for subway tokens. "Did you honestly believe I wouldn't spot you? Did you think you could parade that little accident in your gut through my shopping center, acting like you mattered?" Liana's palms flew instinctively to her stomach, cradling the precious life within. 8 months along. She was 8 months pregnant, utterly alone, and the man who had vowed eternal devotion was now towering over her like she was filth stuck to his Italian loafer. The shame scorched fiercer than the gash on her brow. She struggled to rise, but her limbs trembled, her body heavy with exhaustion and betrayal. "Stay down there," Marcus snarled, his polished shoe inching perilously close to her side. "That's exactly where bottom feeders like you belong." Whispers rippled through the onlookers. Smartphones emerged from pockets. Someone was absolutely filming this nightmare. Liana's head spun, terror gripping her windpipe, because she could not allow him to harm her child. She could not permit this horror to shatter her spirit. She could not. Her phone. She'd gripped it like a lifeline, ever since glimpsing Marcus across the plaza 25 minutes earlier. Her gut had screamed warning bells. Her fingers had acted on pure reflex, honed from months of sleepless dread and midnight what-ifs. She'd programmed just one emergency contact months back, one number she'd promised herself she'd never dial, because dialing it meant confessing the colossal error she'd made 7 months ago. Her thumb landed on the entry saved as emergency only. The line clicked alive after half a ring. "Liana." The reply came not as inquiry but as certainty, deep and restrained, edged with steel that could slice diamonds. Kang Ji-hoon didn't probe her well-being. He didn't demand her location. The ensuing quiet hummed like the hush before a seismic shift. "I'm at Riverside Plaza," she breathed, her words fracturing. "He's—" The connection severed for precisely 52 seconds. Nothing stirred. Marcus kept spewing venom. His fiancée kept taping. The crowd kept murmuring. And Liana remained grounded, hugging her belly while crimson stained the granite that mirrored 1,000 twinkling bulbs. Then the atmosphere shifted. It began as a low buzz from the north entrance, a swell of bewilderment cascading through the Yuletide masses like a tidal surge, accompanied by the rhythmic tread of boots, precise and purposeful, advancing through the plaza with the relentlessness of an oncoming tempest. Liana lifted her gaze, her sight sharpening just enough to make them out. 7 figures in obsidian suits, devoid of any security insignias or plaza badges, just sleek shadows carving through the merry bedlam like razors through velvet. Leading them strode Kang Ji-hoon. He matched her memory perfectly, towering, wiry, with features chiseled for billboards or most wanted bulletins, depending on one's vantage. His jet-black hair swept back from his brow, exposing razor-sharp jawlines and unblinking eyes that registered nothing. No throng, no decorations, no festivity, save the woman flawed and the coward looming over her. Marcus missed it initially. He was too intoxicated by his triumph, too high on status and bubbly and the nods from his upgraded social clique. But his fiancée caught it. Her camera dipped, her complexion drained, ashen. "Marcus," she hissed, yanking his lapel. "Marcus, let's bail. Why?" He wheeled around and speech evaporated from his lips. Ji-hoon halted 3 paces distant. He uttered no word. Required none. His aura alone evacuated the air from the vicinity, transmuting the Jolly Plaza into a void governed solely by his command. One subordinate advanced, posture querying silently, but Ji-hoon lifted a palm. Hold. Not yet. His stare finally shifted from Marcus to Liana. The alteration in his demeanor was infinitesimal, a fissure in granite, yet she perceived it. Worry, rage, an unnamed depth she'd evaded for 7 months. "Can you get up?" he queried her, his timbre velvet soft, rendering the ask an invitation rather than decree. Liana dipped her chin, words failing her. She pushed upward once more, and this time Ji-hoon surged forward. He bridged the gap in dual steps, proffering his hand with a delicacy belying the menace knotted in his frame. She clasped it, his grip enveloping hers, firm, anchoring, and he elevated her effortlessly as if she were mist. "I've got you," he breathed, his free palm lingering near her spine without contact, affording her equilibrium. "I've always had you. Welcome to Shadow Secret Stories, darlings. And sugar, you've just tumbled into territory from which there's no retreat. If you've journeyed with us before, you recognize we skip the tame tales here. We deliver perilous. We craft intoxicating. We forge bonds that sear your essence and decline release. Newcomers? Strap in tight, because the spectacle unfolding is a cataclysm so ferocious, so predestined, it'll shatter your notions of love forever. Slam that like button as if survival hinges on it. Subscribe, you're ensnared already. And crush notifications, for skipping ahead would be outright theft. Now witness how ruthless Dawn forever alters one woman's fate. Marcus finally recovered his tongue, but it emerged mangled, choked with bewilderment and nascent dread. "Who the fuck are you?" Ji-hoon ignored him. He focused on inspecting Liana's wound, his thumb grazing perilously close to the laceration with exquisite care that twisted her insides. "You're bleeding." "I'm okay," she murmured, but tremors racked her frame. "You're far from okay." His mandible clenched, that tiny breach in poise expanding into peril. "Who laid hands on you?" Liana stayed mute. No need. Ji-hoon's focus pivoted to Marcus, and the plaza's warmth plunged 15 degrees. "You struck her," Ji-hoon stated. "No query." Marcus barked a laugh, jagged and fragile, clashing discordantly in the hush. "Look, buddy, whatever lies she fed you, this stays between me and my former girl. None of your damn affair." "Former girl?" Ji-hoon echoed the phrase as if sampling venom. He glanced Liana's way. An indecipherable glint danced there. Then to Marcus. "The mother of your unborn child. The one you publicly battered. That former girl?" "She's fabricating shit," Marcus spat, buoyed by his woman's proximity and the audience's lenses. "Bet she hasn't a clue whose spawn that is. Gaze at her. She's worthless. She's—" Ji-hoon advanced, not savagely. That rendered it petrifying. He merely progressed, eradicating buffer space with deliberate poise that cleared bystanders instinctively. No shout, no swing. Merely 6'4" of leashed menace, appraising Marcus Hale as a blemish demanding excision. "Utter one more slur against her," Ji-hoon intoned softly, "and I'll acquire this plaza, shutter it indefinitely, and ensure your sole vista within remains a custodian's broom closet, post-demolishing your finances, your standing, every tie you fancy invincible." Marcus blanched ghostly. "You can't—" "I own Riverside Plaza," Ji-hoon pressed on, inflection casual, near weary. "Owned it 2 years running, plus the valet lot where your leased Audi idles, the luxury condo you lease, the hedge fund stewarding your inheritance." He let it marinate. "Thought you browsed neutral ground." The assembly fell utterly mute. Cameras persisted, now archiving a power inversion, a revelation. Marcus's fiancée detached, retreating wisely. "You're bluffing," Marcus croaked, timbre splintering. Ji-hoon fished his cell, thumbed thrice, displayed it. Live feed from plaza surveillance glowed. Every lens, every perspective, every instant of the prior quarter hour, including Marcus hurling glass, spewing bile, the lot. "Not bluffing," Ji-hoon murmured. "Merely tolerant, until utility as exemplar expires." He pocketed the device, gaze returning tenderly to Liana, softening her pulse. "We're departing. Vehicle awaits below." "I don't," Liana began, yet he negated with a headshake. "Discuss en route. Priority. Sanctuary. Please." Logic urged resistance, queries, myriad rational retorts. Yet clad in ripped satin, wounded and gravid and drained, scorched by Marcus's scorn yet cocooned in Ji-hoon's safeguard, Liana chose. She assented. Ji-hoon's palm alighted featherlight at her lumbar, steadying her cosmos, ushering her outbound. His entourage synchronized seamlessly, a phalanx of quiet intimidation. Passing Marcus, Ji-hoon lingered. "Approach her anew," he growled, "timbre abyssal and absolute, and attorneys yield to siblings. Believe me, Marcus Hale, my siblings you shan't endure." They abandoned him amid gadgets and susurrus and glass shards of his ego implosion. The Bentley purred at the exclusive garage portal, ebony and lithe, thrumming potency. Ji-hoon personally swung the door, assisted Liana aboard, then claimed the adjacent seat. The panel sealed, enclosing them in supple hide and hush, laced with ozone after rain. Prolonged quiet ensued. Then Ji-hoon bridged, his palm eclipsing hers atop her protective belly-hold. "Injured? The infant?" "We're fine," Liana whispered, though saline traced her contours unchecked. "Sorry. Shouldn't have rung you." "Hush." His digits circled her metacarpals soothingly, gesture fracturing her resolve. "You acted impeccably. You summoned me." "Yet I fled," she confessed, verbiage cascading guilt-fear relief. 7 months past, I bolted your suite, vanished, petrified by your essence, your realm, vowing no entanglement in my chaos. Now, Liana, he pivoted fully toward her, palm cradling her jaw, digits skirting the lesion deftly. You entangled none. I've inhabited your chaos since tea unsolicited that dawn, since your grin humanized me beyond monster. Since departure dawned, I'd forfeited life's soul purity from cowardice unspoken. She gaped, respiration hitching. Unspoken what? Ji-hoon's gaze pinned hers, obsidian infinite, brimming devotion hazardous. I've shadowed you post-flight, sentinels near your flat months long ensuring welfare. Deterring Marcus, shielding from touch, awaiting summons, necessity, any pretext to reclaim orbit. His timbre hushed. No errant text, Liana. Permission at last for long-denied acts. The Bentley glided cityward like spectre. Liana sensed reality skewing. She'd evaded Kang Ji-hoon, his dominion, the dread of loving a name that quelled felons, while he'd lingered 7 months for homecoming. Destination. My tower loft, he replied. Physician primed. Then discourse. Marcus, progeny, flight rationale. Why restraint dissolves forever? He paused, palm framing her visage. Acceptable? Liana beheld him, the dismantler of her ex in phrases and pixels, shadow guardian half-year strong, anchor in turmoil absent months. Acceptable, she sighed. As Bentley ferried through neon nocturnal sprawl, Liana grasped afternoon plaza entry marked life's third gravest lapse. Premiere. Forsaking Kang Ji-hoon. Perhaps redemption beckoned twice. The private lift ascended mutely, pressure mounting orally, respiration measured. Liana pressed mirror-backed wall, observing Ji-hoon's reflection scrutinizing hers. He'd clasped her hand, unrelinquishing since vehicular ingress, digits still etched languid loops on her knuckles. Comfort morphing claim, pledge tacit. Digits ascended. 52nd story. 53rd, 54th. Trembling, he noted softly, stare unwavering via glass. Fine. Habitual refrain. Timbre intimate, confined. Not fine, Liana. Absent since Exodus. Lift parted pre-response, unveiling loft fortress of crystal steel expanse. Wall-spanning panes surveyed metro luminescence, rain-slick avenues agleam beneath. Liana scant-noted vista, fixated on elder gent, awaiting lounge ward. Grey locks, satchel medical. Dr. Min Ji-hoon named, grip steadfast, gratitude prompt arrival. Doc appraised Liana's brow, abdomen, Ji-hoon, with visage intimating precedent. Let's situate her. Ji-hoon escorted sofa ward, motions meticulous, as if crystal fragile. He genuflected pre-her as Min unpacked. Momentarily, underworld sovereign resembled mere mortal dreading loss irreplaceable. Infant priority, Liana urged. Aware. Palm knee steadied warmly. Aware, Liana. Dr. Min operated adroitly, Doppler belly pressed, chamber filling swift fetal thrum. Liana's lids sealed, reprieve vertiginous. Thriving? Infant sound. Robust pulse, Min affirmed. No duress indicators, but repose imperative. Duress ceases henceforth, Ji-hoon interjected. Finality ironclad. Insured. Doc sutured brow lesion, adhesive strips pinching, sting-evoking Liana's wince. Ji-hoon's knee clasp tightened, mandible grinding restraint visceral. Post-Min departure with quiescence bedressed edict. Quiet thickened oppressively. Ji-hoon rose, paced Payne's ward, fists pocketed. Metro Kingdom sprawled blood-strategized conquest beyond. Yet he dismissed it blankly, sole import the gravid wounded woman sofa-bound, evading direct gaze. Why flee? He queried ultimate, palms lap-knotted. Known etiology? Vocalize regardless. Your realm petrifies. Raw truth. 7 months yaw. Temp ingress 3-week tenure. Exit comprehending prolonged stay equated abyss plunge irrecoverable. Witnessed essence Ji-hoon. Bowing subordinates room entry. Name dropped whispers. Desk gun glimpse post-meat knuckles sanguine. Noted despite assumption. She met stare orbs aflame. Saw authentic. New loving equated ruination. And Marcus timbre mortal ameliorated. Marcus mundane. Bitter chuckle. Mundane vocation, coterie, trajectory. No cliff-edge tactile vertigo. Yet abandoned gravid solitary. Ji-hoon window turned, gaze cryptic. Wager unkind exit. Throat constricted memory repulsion. Test night glare deeming sentence fatal. Bags packed mid-plea. Backward glance absent. Trap claim. Whispered. Purpose impregnate lockdown. Ghetto wench life ruiner unwelcome. Ambient chill plummeted. Ji-hoon's mask held. Ocular frost presaging dire fates. Believed he soft probe? No, deserved. Rose protectively abdomen clasped. Trapped indeed Ji-hoon. Not progeny, fluke. But facade simple compliant unexacting. Undemanding sans 3 a.m. reveries cliff dual sensation. Me thoughts. Revelation. Query absent. Nocturnally. Admitted. Precipice leap confession. Cohabiting Marcus. You haunted. Post-exit. Karma self-doom prohibited desire. Ji-hoon triple-strided proximate. Untouched proximity heat radiant. Head tilt ocular lockout required. Every right. Timbre gravelly. Right to crave, Liana. Reciprocated inaugural office smile unflinching hand ink. Grin worthiness. Unsolicited tea sans sugar note. Palm ascended gradual. Retreat permissible. Jaw cupped tenderly breath-stealing. Permitted exodus protective delusion. Such purity unfit monster keep. Mistake. Pursuit warranted, city rend quest, truth-timed revelation fearing authentic vision flight. Truth, barely audible. Gaze endless devotional surrender-esque. In love. Infatuated T-dawn onward. Post-exodus females shadowed echoes. Pretenseless life sans ownership impossible. Verbiage suspended. Weighty irrevocable. Liana's cardiac rib assaulted. Unacquainted truly. Coffee cream excess sugar deficit known. Concentration hum. Thunder terror, yet rain-defiant stubbornness. Flight terror sans emotion mutuality. Palms chest perceiving thunderous pulse. Progeny paternal merit fireworld. Permit proof. Andrew paternal void. Sperm contributor absent father. Permit paternal exemplarity. Liana sealed orbs, saline cheek descent. Inaugural 7-month capitulation fall. Block 2. The guest suite gleamed with pristine elegance, a sanctuary untouched and primed as if crafted expressly for her arrival after long anticipation. Crisp linens draped the king-sized bed in muted ivories and silvers, a plush cashmere throw folded precisely at the foot, while ambient lighting cast a soothing glow over built-in cabinetry stocked with herbal teas and prenatal vitamins. A luxurious velvet robe, soft as whispered secrets, awaited on the chaise, sized perfectly for her changing form, and the adjoining bath steamed gently, the air scented with jasmine and shea butter from a precisely drawn soak at her ideal temperature. "How extensively have you orchestrated this?" Liana questioned, her tone edged sharper than intended, fatigue fueling unfiltered candor. Ji-hoon lounged against the frame, jacket shed en route from lounge to here, sleeves cuffed to mid-forearm exposing sinewy, inked forearms, narrating untold chronicles she had yet to probe. Orchestrated what precisely? This setup she swept a gesture encompassing chamber, robe, forethought manifest. Pregnant ready haven for absentee 7 months. Medic primed. Intuitive provisioning pre-threshold cross. Hoped, he amended softly, nuance pivotal. Distinction exists? Liana wheeled fully confrontational, weariness recklessly emboldening. Perspective deems orchestrator awaiting fracture for salvage intervention, like bespoke restoration distant curated. Visage flickered, wound or vexation, yet timbre steadied serene. No restoration project, Liana. Then define. Query raw exigency clarity bound. Comprehend unfolding Ji-hoon. Decipher plaza timing precision. Prepped haven elucidation. Gaze proprietary-esque. Propriety absent. He advanced proximity touch proximate, yet restrained. Intensity pulse accelerating. Ownership negated. Declaration measured. Acquaintance intimate suffices. Fear prompted repulsion. Help denial drowning. Current rationale flight renewal terror surpassing Andrew's malice. Unacquainted insistence faltered vocally. Proof offer. Bypass to bath. Retrieved vial. Unscented cocoa lotion. Pharmacy staple evoking childhood hearth since undergrad tenure because luxury imposture repelled. Expensive aversions. Authenticity erosion. Brand fidelity ancestral tether. Dresser placed. Left side slumberer right awakener. Claustrophobia nightmares dual exit assured. Balcony portal gestured unnoticed prior. Independence aversion. Self-sufficiency plenished query exempt. Liana fixated cardiac thundering. Methodology? Vigilance remunerated, candid. Office tenure memorized. Motion, cognition. Joy sparkers, shutdown triggers. Advanced, retreat unbarred. Non-project. Enamored woman. Half-year attuned pre-articulation necessities. Insanity. Obsession. Affirmative. Unrepentant candor. Shame void. Brutal veracity. Repulsion warranted. Flight impulse nearest egress. Contrarily chest-fissured relief cascaded. For Marcus post-2-year tenure scarcely recalled coffee specs. Marcus pain oversight absent. Marcus progeny inconvenience deeming versus miracle. Ji-hoon semestral love lingual bespoke. Soak chills imminent, he interjected gently juncture shattering. Repose advised. Dawn discourse resumption. Pivot exit. Liana's timbre halted threshold. Plaza presence rationale. Knob paused protracted. Pocket cell extracted. Screen tapped. Proffered reapproach. Time-stamped dispatch 30 pre-flute. Spotted him. Riverside Plaza. Solitude unsustainable. Texted summons. Ji-hoon elucidated tenderly. Aid invoked. Response dispatched. Recollection voided. Timestamp raw authenticity. Affirmed subconscious desperation outreach. Location tracked admission. Ocular snapped. Absenteeism. Surveillance perpetual. Marcus deterrence. Crisis minute readiness. Jaw rigid. Auditory intrusion acknowledged. Boundary transgression. Apology waived. Liana. Vitality preservation unregretted. Stalking nomenclature. Accusation arousal duality. Affirmative. Semestral daily continuum. Fury violation mandated, yet shadowed safety post Marcus. Netted gratitude irrational. Reveal, murmured. Surveillance depth exposition. Ji-hoon's warning hunger ocular shadow. Corner desk drawer breached, dossier tendered, digit brush electric. Photographs cascaded. Liana Grosser aisle belly caressing label perusal. Library checkout prenatal tomes. Apartment adjacent vehicle weeping post-Marcus clash. Terminal snapshot chilled. Clinic exterior 3-week prior. Palm pain-pressed ultrasound gazing. Window reflection faint. Obscured sedan sentinel safeguarding loving shadow realm. Liana elevated gaze, expression prompting tension. Commentary? Terror justifiable. Flight logical, she intoned deliberate. Yet negated. Folder sequestered, step proximate. Drowning confirmed, singular noticer. Bath submersion ensued, water scalding, skin flushing, vapor veiling perimeter. Door ajar. Invitation tacit, rejection nullified, trust tentative proffered semestral silent earner. Reverie regressed inaugural Park Enterprises ingress. Borrowed portfolio clutched. Starched attire donned, 3-week interim trepidation glass edifice. Sweet Arctic steel intimidation, desk sovereign icy. Ji-hoon screen-absorbed ingress ignored, mandible taut, digit desk percussion ominous. Acknowledgement tardy. Dark distant appraisal threat problem duality. Hand tattoo intricate sleeve vanish curiosity supplanted fear. Smile proffered, nomenclature exchanged, tea inquiry. Sugarless scolding specification. Notation unnecessary. Return precise spec 15 minutes. Shift infinitesimal. Warmth proximate recognition reality affirmed. Methodology discernment. Undiluted preference inferred. Genesis mutation. Knock subdued, present anchored. Ji-hoon threshold. Gaze averted deferential. Posture rigidity. Distance enforced. Towels supplemented. Necessities uncertain. Approach. Ocular query cautious. Solitude undesired currently. Refusal contemplated. Distance venerated ingress penthouse. Traversed. Towels counter-deposited. Tub kneeled. Needs articulated. Uncertainty. Timbre fractured. Strength solitude feigned exhaustion. Strong solitary 7-month proven unnecessary perpetuation. Palm tub rim settled retreat permissible. Day inaugural T-post reminiscence. Late remained Ji-hoon prompt. Vacated cohort. Files marshaled. Meeting emergent vocalization discovery. Laughter lachrymose. Vacancy presumed. Incorrect. Hallway 10 loitered auditory rapture unprecedented. Aretha off-pitch. Felicity incarnate. Gaze locked. Ambient fear ambition calculation. Authenticity singular. Wrist encircled damp. Mid-turmoil then. Office intruders collateral visage. Territorial incursion. Rival encroachment proprietary. Violence escalated. Casualties. Mandible rigid. Retaliation blueprint incineration. Negated. T-dawn grins humanized. Eve notes jest consumption prompts. Crossfire peril recognized. Alternate quiescence secured safety. Strategy revolution you induced. Wave impact realization. Semestral transformation you orchestrated. Forehead proximate. Smile deserving evolution coveted. Water temperate descent. Gooseflesh noted. Tap quest thwarted. Wrist detained. Assistance softened. Hair access impeded gravid. Vulnerability facial flicker. Affirmation anterior shift accommodated. Sleeves ascended. Tub head positioned. Curls gathered water stress saturated. Reverent delicate skull contour memorization relief sounds tension temples. Intimacy paramount. Admission gravel admission. Vulnerability exposure. Caretaking supremacy. Rinse threaded infinite patience. Suspended fragility glass cliff. Knock intruded. Enchantment fractured. Hands tensed withdrawal dripping erect lethal replacement tenderness. Remain. Timbre inaugural office recognition peril menace. Departure bathroom hallway murmurs urgent incensed aberrant. Return stone-hewn. Query. Andrew legal counsel retained. Flat. Elitist caliber potent patronage funded. Chill Venus. Patronage identity. Pending. Fingers fisted. Assailant leveraging X-weaponry animus directed. Study locus 20 minutes posterior. Silk-robed damp knot coiffed. Desk leaned cellier Korean rapid nomenclature. Loci coercion queasy-inducing imprecise decipher. Threshold visage flicker. Abrupt termination cell discarded incendiary. Repose mandated declaration. Truth imperative. Liana traversed noiseless hardwood. Blueprint disclosure. Extraneous concern. Dismissal, timbre honed. Fragility shielding reality insulation unwarranted. Semestral veracity. Indigence gravid trepidation isolation. Ugliness unshielded requisite. Mandible rigid. Non-combatant. Ingress, Andrew flute inception combatant. Proximate shoulder-coiled ocular bank fury. Blueprint elaboration. Exhalation languid hair raked. Disappearance orchestrated silent permanent comprehension. Imposition proprietary assault reprisal. Horror mandated. Egress impulse. Contrarily chest dark satisfaction unfurled Andrew progeny sneer. Nothing label deserving abandonment. Restrain quieted. Ocular snapped. Termination clemency expedience finale evasion. Suffering antecedent sensory equivalence inflicted. Annihilation preceding mortality. Expression transmuted recognition suspected witnessed facet. Caution murmured. Mimicry emergent. Affirmative gaze sustained. Mimicry requisite prolonged acquiescence terminus. Block 3. Ji-hoon's study pulsed with restrained fury. The walls lined with floor-to-ceiling bookshelves crammed with leather-bound volumes on strategy and ancient Korean warfare. A massive oak desk dominating the center, like a war room command post, and dual monitors flickering with encrypted feeds from across the city. Liana stood in the doorway, the silk robe clinging to her damp skin, her bare feet silent on the Persian rug as she watched him pace, his phone still warm in his hand from the call he'd just ended. The air crackled with unspoken plans, the kind that turned rivals into ghosts without a trace, and she knew from the set of his shoulders that whatever came next for Marcus would be surgical, irreversible, and far worse than a simple vanishing act. Ji-hoon turned at her approach, his eyes narrowing not in anger at her intrusion, but in assessment, weighing whether to shield her further or finally let her see the machine beneath the man. "You're supposed to be resting," he said, his voice a low rumble that vibrated through the room's heavy air. "But there's no hiding from this now. Not after what he did to you, not after you've seen enough to demand the full picture." Liana crossed her arms over her swollen belly, the robe's sash pulling tight as she stepped closer, her gaze steady, despite the tremor in her limbs from adrenaline's aftershocks. "Tell me everything," she demanded, her tone leaving no room for deflection, "because if we're doing this, if you're pulling me back into your world, I need to know how deep the shadows run and what it costs to wield them against scum like Marcus." He exhaled sharply, running a hand through his ink-black hair, the tattoos on his knuckles flexing like living serpents, as he gestured to the chair opposite his desk. A high-backed leather throne that had witnessed deals sealed in blood and favors called in midnight hours. "Sit," he instructed, pulling up a chair for himself and spinning one of the monitors to face her, the screen blooming with Marcus Hale's digital footprint. Bank logs, emails, social feeds, all spiderwebbed from a single hack that bypassed layers of so-called security like tissue paper. "Marcus didn't act alone tonight," Ji-hoon began, his fingers flying across the keyboard with the precision of a surgeon dissecting a still-beating heart, pulling up transaction trails that looped back to offshore accounts funneled through a shell company in Busan. Someone bankrolled his glow-up, the tux, the fiancé's rock, the leased Audi that screams new money without the substance, and that someone wanted you caught in the crossfire to get to me. Liana leaned forward, her breath catching as grainy security footage looped on the second screen. Marcus receiving a briefcase in a dimly lit parking garage 2 weeks prior. The drop-off man hooded and swift, vanishing into a black SUV with tinted plates registered to a ghost LLC. "Who?" she whispered, her mind racing through fragments of Ji-hoon's world she'd glimpsed 7 months ago, the terse meetings, the men with dead eyes who spoke in coded threats, the undercurrent of turf wars that made even his executives flinch. Ji-hoon tapped a final command, and a name surfaced. Choi Min-jae, a mid-level enforcer from the rival Black Lotus syndicate. The same snake who'd been nibbling at Ji-hoon's shipping lanes and underground casinos for the past year, testing boundaries with increasing boldness. Min-jae hates me for freezing him out of a port deal last spring, Ji-hoon explained, his voice flat but laced with the cold fire of retribution. And he knows my one weakness is unfinished business from the past. Women like you who slip through cracks but leave echoes. Liana's stomach twisted, not just from the baby's restless kicks, but from the realization that her humiliation at the plaza had been bait, a calculated jab to draw Ji-hoon into the open, where Min-jae's snipers or hackers could strike. But you're not weak, she countered, her hand instinctively rubbing her belly, as if to soothe both herself and the child, who seemed to sense the storm brewing. You've been 10 steps ahead, watching me, protecting without asking permission. That's not a vulnerability. That's armor forged in hellfire. Ji-hoon's lips quirked in a ghost of a smile, the first crack in his iron facade since the doctor's visit, as he leaned back and cracked his knuckles, the sound echoing like gunfire in the quiet study. Exactly, he murmured. And tonight, Marcus becomes the message. Min-jae will get his severed hand extended, but first, we gut the puppet from the inside. Together they dove into the data. Liana's sharp mind, honed from years juggling temp gigs and side hustles before her pregnancy derailed everything, spotting patterns Ji-hoon had overlooked in his rage-fueled scan. There, she pointed, her finger jabbing at a recurring wire transfer to a bridal boutique, the same one Marcus's fiancée flaunted on her Instagram stories. Follow that thread, and it unravels his entire facade of upward mobility. Ji-hoon grinned wolfishly, his fingers a blur as he scripted a backdoor into Marcus's investment portfolio, the one he'd bragged about in old texts Liana still had saved from better days. Watch this, he said, hitting execute, and lines of code cascaded like dominoes, rerouting funds from Marcus's accounts, nearly $1. 2 million siphoned from crypto wallets, stock options, and that shady Busan shell, straight into a new account under Liana's name, cleansed through 3 layers of blockchain mixers to appear legitimate windfall. Marcus's phone lit up on a mirrored feed, notifications pinging wildly as his balances flatlined. His credit froze, and automated alerts flagged him for fraud to every creditor from his Audi lease to his luxury condo's management. But we're not done, Liana added, her voice hardening with a vengeance she'd buried under months of survival mode. Pulling up Marcus's email archives, where drunken rants to his fiancée revealed not just infidelity, but outright theft. He'd swiped her original business plan for a prenatal wellness app during their engagement, pitching it as his own to venture capitalists and pocketing seed money she'd brainstormed late nights while he scrolled sports highlights. Ji-hoon raised an eyebrow, impressed, as he bundled those emails into a timed drip campaign, scheduling leaks to Marcus's board. His fiancée's family group chat, and key industry blogs, complete with timestamps proving plagiarism. By dawn, Marcus would wake to resignation emails, a jilted bride live-streaming her fury, and IRS agents knocking with audit summonses triggered by anonymous tips. As the scripts ran their course, the study's tension shifted from plotting to something electric, intimate, their shoulders brushing as they pored over final confirmations, Liana's hand occasionally grazing his thigh under the desk in silent partnership. "You've got fire in you, Liana," Ji-hoon observed, pausing to tuck a escaped lock back behind her ear, his touch lingering with promise. The kind of partnership that turns victims into victors and shadows into empires. She met his gaze, the air between them thickening with unspoken futures. But before she could respond, his phone buzzed, an encrypted line from one of his outer perimeter watchers. Incoming chatter. Marcus is lawyered up already, some silver-tongued shark from Min-jae's roster, demanding police involvement at the plaza with claims of assault and extortion. Liana's pulse spiked, but Ji-hoon merely chuckled darkly, already dialing his own counsel, a pitbull attorney who'd made DAs weep in courtrooms. "Let him, lawyer," Ji-hoon said, ending the call with orders to flood the precinct with counter-evidence. The full uncut footage, witness statements from plaza staff on his payroll, and Marcus's priors for domestic disturbances she'd never reported out of shame. "This ends tonight," he promised her, rising to draw her into his arms. her belly nestling against him as the city lights twinkled mockingly outside, oblivious to the ruination unfolding in the penthouse above. Block 4, dawn crept over the city skyline like a thief, painting the penthouse windows in hues of bruised purple and molten gold, but sleep evaded Liana entirely, her mind replaying the night's digital demolition of Marcus in vivid loops, while the baby kicked restlessly against her ribs as if sensing the lingering adrenaline. Ji-hoon had guided her back to the guest suite hours earlier, his touch a steady anchor as he tucked her into bed with murmured promises of vigilance, stationing 2 silent sentries outside her door before retreating to his command center to tie off loose ends. She lay there in the cashmere sheets, staring at the shadowed ceiling, the weight of reclaimed power mingling with a newfound hunger for retribution that scared her as much as it thrilled, because in those stolen moments hunched over screens with Ji-hoon, she'd glimpsed not just vengeance, but a partnership forged in code and fury, one that whispered of futures where she called shots alongside him instead of cowering from shadows. By mid-morning, her phone buzzed incessantly on the nightstand. Notifications from old contacts, mutual friends texting in shock about Marcus's implosion, his venture firm firing him via mass email citing ethics violations, his fiancée's tearful Instagram live exposing the stolen business plan and his parade of side flings, even grainy tabloid snippets already circulating about a disgraced tech bro facing felony fraud probes sparked by leaked IRS tips. Liana smiled grimly, scrolling through the chaos they'd unleashed, her fingers itching to text Ji-hoon, but hesitating because the intimacy of their late-night alliance felt too raw, too real after months of self-imposed isolation. A soft knock pulled her from the screen. Ji-hoon entered carrying a tray laden with fresh ginger tea, poached eggs on sourdough, and sliced mango, her pregnancy cravings pinpointed without a word, served with that quiet attentiveness that made her chest ache with what-ifs. "Eat first," he said, setting it beside her and perching on the bed's edge, his fresh shirt unbuttoned at the collar revealing a sliver of tattooed chest, eyes scanning her face for signs of distress amid the triumph. "Then we talk about Minjai because his fingerprints are all over this, and he's not done until I make him regret breathing my air." Liana sipped the tea, the warmth grounding her as she pieced together the bigger threat, recalling Ji-hoon's clipped explanations of the Black Lotus as a splinter group hungry for his port dominance, using pawns like Marcus to probe weaknesses without direct confrontation. Minjay sent the briefcase, she confirmed, piecing footage with transaction logs. But why me? What makes a thug like him think humiliating a pregnant nobody draws you out? Ji-hoon's jaw ticked, his hand covering hers briefly, thumb stroking her knuckles in that hypnotic rhythm that soothed, even as it ignited. "Because rumors spread in my world," he admitted, voice low and edged with self-recrimination. "Whispers from 7 months ago when you vanished from my office. Speculation I was soft on you, that you were leverage waiting to be exploited, and Minjay bet on stirring old flames to force my hand." Liana set the cup down, anger flaring anew, not at Ji-hoon, but at the machinery that reduced her to a chess piece, fueling her resolve to flip the board. "Then let's end it," she said firmly, swinging her legs over the bed's edge despite his protesting frown. "Because I'm done being bait. Show me the full layout on Minjai, his operations, his safe houses. I want in on the counterplay." Reluctance warred in his expression, but her unyielding stare won out. He nodded, helping her to her feet and leading her back to the study, where monitors now displayed a sprawling dossier on Choi Minjai. Grainy photos of underground fight rings he ran out of abandoned warehouses, shipment manifests for smuggled luxury goods through Ji-hoon's rival docks, even burner phone pings linking him to the plaza payoff. "He's sloppy ambitious," Ji-hoon analyzed, pulling up satellite views of a fortified loft in the industrial district. "But his boldness ends today. I've got eyes confirming he's mobilizing a crew for retaliation, thinking Marcus's arrest spooked me into hiding." Liana studied the maps, her mind sharpening like it hadn't since pre-pregnancy days, brainstorming her app, spotting a vulnerability in Minjai's supply chain. A weekly cash drop at a nondescript laundromat that doubled as a front. "Hit there surgically," she suggested, voice steady with calculated ruthlessness. Freeze his funds like we did Marcus, tip the feds anonymously, watch his empire crumble from greed not guns. Ji-hoon's eyes lit with approval, a rare full smile breaking through as he keyed commands to his network, dispatching shadows to shadow the drop, while legal hounds prepped paper trails for federal seizure. "You're a natural," he murmured, pride threading his tone as their hands brushed over the keyboard, the air humming with synergy that transcended mere survival into something symbiotic, dangerous, alive. Hours blurred into orchestration, calls to port allies locking down Min-jae's shipments, hacked comms sowing paranoia among his lieutenants with forged betrayal messages, and Liana scripting a decoy email from a Marcus insider, dangling fake evidence to lure Min-jae into overreach. By afternoon, reports flooded in, Black Lotus trucks idling empty at customs, Min-jae's phone exploding with defections, his laundromat raided clean by IRS agents on Ji-hoon's tipped leads. Victory tasted sweet but fragile. Ji-hoon pulled her close amid the glowing screens, forehead to hers, whispering gratitude for her mind matching her fire. "Rest now," he urged, but Liana shook her head, pulse racing from triumph and proximity. "One loose end," she countered, pulling up Marcus's final plea from county lockup, a slurred voicemail begging mercy, spilling Min-jae's full plot in panic. The rival had groomed him for months, promising plaza sabotage to teach the Korean king humility via his discarded ex. Ji-hoon listened stone-faced, then crushed the play button, already plotting Min-jae's endgame. As evening fell, alarms shrieked, perimeter breach at the penthouse garage, Black Lotus vans screeching in with armed goons spilling out, Min-jae silhouetted in the lead vehicle barking orders for capture. Ji-hoon's calm shattered into lethal efficiency. He hustled Liana to a concealed panic room behind the study bookshelf, biometric lock sealing with a hiss as gunfire echoed distantly. "Stay here," he commanded, kissing her fiercely before vanishing into the fray, leaving her with monitors cycling live feeds of the chaos below. Heart hammering, Liana watched him move like a spectre through hidden corridors, disarming two intruders with precise strikes before his men converged, turning the tide with suppressed rounds and tasers that dropped foes without fatal mess. Min-jae charged the lobby, pistol raised, but Ji-hoon met him head-on, a brutal dance of blocks and counters ending with the rival pinned against marble, arm twisted until surrender. "No kills tonight," Ji-hoon growled, signaling his crew to zip-tie the lot while cops, tipped anonymously, rolled up sirens blaring, hauling Min-jae and his crew away on weapons and conspiracy raps, backed by the day's planted evidence. Back in the penthouse, Ji-hoon returned bloodied but unbowed, pulling Liana from the panic room into crushing embrace, their breaths mingling in relief and residual fear. "It's over," he promised against her hair, but she clung tighter, whispering that with him, it felt like a beginning. Block 5. 6 months dissolved into a whirlwind of quiet triumphs and deepening bonds, the penthouse transforming from a fortress of crisis into a genuine home where Liana's laughter echoed off the steel and glass walls, mingling with the coos of their newborn son Kai, who arrived on a stormy autumn evening with a cry that sounded like victory after a labor marked by Ji-hoon's unwavering presence at her side, his hand gripping hers through every contraction as if anchoring her to life itself. Kai inherited Liana's rich brown skin and Ji-hoon's piercing dark eyes, a perfect fusion of fire and shadow, and from his first breath, Ji-hoon held him with a reverence that belied his ruthless reputation, whispering promises in Korean of protection eternal, while Liana watched, tears streaming, knowing this child had already claimed both their hearts in ways Marcus never could. The nursery overlooked the city sprawl, walls painted in soft greys with murals of cherry blossoms and fierce dragons handpicked by Ji-hoon to symbolize resilience and power, a crib carved from reclaimed oak imported from Seoul, and a mobile of tiny jade pendants tinkling softly above as Kai slept, his tiny fists curled like his father's during tense negotiations. Liana thrived in motherhood, her body healing swiftly under Dr. Min's watchful care, but her mind, sharpened by the plaza ordeal and digital wars, refused idleness. She channeled that fire into the Horizon Haven Foundation, a non-profit born from her stolen app idea, now reborn as a lifeline for pregnant women trapped in abusive cycles, offering not just financial aid but tech training, legal clinics, and safe houses funded by Ji-hoon's discreet channels that laundered his empire's edges into legitimate good. The foundation's launch gala filled the penthouse ballroom with donors, survivors sharing testimonies that moved even Ji-hoon's stoic lieutenants to nods of respect. Liana, radiant in emerald silk, echoing her torn gown from that fateful day, delivering a keynote on rising from humiliation to sovereignty, her hand occasionally drifting to Ji-hoon's at the podium, their rings glinting under chandeliers as subtle proof of the private ceremony they'd exchanged weeks after Kai's birth in a secluded mountain temple. If you've ridden this roller coaster of ruthless romance with us, you know these tales don't fade into fairy tale endings. They ignite new infernos, and right now, darlings, we're on the cusp of something explosive that demands your fuel to keep burning. Hit that subscribe button hard because we're chasing 1,000 subscribers to unlock more epic sagas like this one. Your clicks are the spark that keeps these stories alive. And for interaction that hits like a Mafia vow, drop in the comments the one luxury item your ex mocked you for wanting, but now you'd claim as queen. Tag a friend who needs this empowerment glow-up and let's flood the thread with comeback energy that Marcus types can't handle. Back to the blaze. Ji-hoon's world never truly slept. Whispers of resurgent threats bubbling from Black Lotus remnants who'd slithered underground after Minjai's arrest, but he insulated Liana and Kai with layers of security, bodyguards blending as nannies, encrypted apps for her foundation work, even a private jet on standby for weekend escapes to his coastal retreats where they walked beaches hand in hand, Kai gurgling in a sling against Ji-hoon's chest. Yet peace proved illusory one crisp evening as Liana's phone lit up with an unknown number, a hesitant text flickering across the screen. Saw him at Oak Ridge Mall, can't take this anymore, help. The plea echoing her own desperate dispatch 7 months prior, coordinates pinging Riverside adjacent, stirring Ji-hoon's protective instincts like a predator scenting blood. Liana showed him the message, their eyes locking in silent accord. This wasn't coincidence but cycle, a new woman ensnared in the same web of mockery and malice they'd shattered, and ignoring it would betray the Foundation's ethos of second chances. Ji-hoon traced the number to a young barista named Selena, 24, 7 months pregnant, and cornered by her ex, a slick realtor named Derek, who'd upgraded to a trophy fiancé while she scraped by on tips and terror, the mall confrontation unfolding via hacked plaza cams in real time. Derek smashing a coffee cup against her temple amid holiday crowds, sneering about hood rats faking class as she crumpled, protecting her belly. History rhymed with haunting precision, Selena's thumb hovering over her emergency contact, Ji-hoon's number, forwarded anonymously through Foundation networks that Liana had optimized for crisis signals, and the line connected after one ring, Ji-hoon's voice cutting through, "Selena!" No question, just certainty. They mobilized without hesitation, Bentley roaring toward Oak Ridge as Liana monitored feeds from the passenger seat, her Foundation laptop open to coordinate safe extraction while Ji-hoon murmured tactics to his crew, their partnership seamless as ever. Arrival mirrored the plaza rescue but amplified. 8 men in tailored black fanning out, Ji-hoon striding center with Liana at his flank this time. Not hidden but allied, her presence a statement that his queen fought beside him. Derek froze mid-rant, his fiancée paling as Ji-hoon loomed, but Liana stepped forward first, voice steel-wrapped silk. "Touch her again and your empire's dust. I've seen your leases, your lies. And they're unraveling tonight." Derek blustered, but Ji-hoon's phone glowed with live hacks draining his brokerage accounts. Foundation lawyers already filing restraining orders, Selena rising shakily into their protective circle as cops, tipped via app, rolled in to cuff the fool. In the aftermath, Selena cradled in the Bentley with Kai's old bassinet repurposed for her comfort. Liana held her hand, sharing war stories of rising from ex's ashes while Ji-hoon drove. Kai asleep in his car seat behind, the family unit unbreakable. This cycle of rescue pulsed through their veins now, Horizon Haven expanding with Selena's case as poster child, drawing media buzz that boosted subscribers and donations, but more importantly, it wove new threads into their legacy. Saving one sparked 10 more signals, each a wrong number lifeline pulling souls from darkness into their orbit of ruthless redemption. Nights ended tangled in silk sheets, Kai between them as Ji-hoon traced Liana's scars, physical and unseen, with lips that promised forever, whispering how she'd remade him from monster to guardian. Her foundation, the daylight face of his shadowed empire. Challenges loomed, rival scouts sniffing borders, IRS audits on laundered funds. But united, they were invincible. Liana's app now viral with user stories mirroring hers, Ji-hoon's ports locked tighter under her strategic audits. One evening as snow dusted the skyline, another text buzzed. "He's at the mall, pregnant, need you." Ji-hoon smiled wolfishly at Liana, their hands clasping over Kai's sleeping form, ready to answer the call that perpetuated their saga of love, born in violence, tempered in vengeance, eternal in protection. Block 6. As the first snowflakes of winter dusted the city like powdered sugar on a fresh wound, Liana and Ji-hoon's life had settled into a rhythm of fierce love and calculated vigilance, their penthouse now a bustling hive, where Kai's giggles bounced off the walls alongside the hum of Foundation calls and Ji-hoon's encrypted briefings, every corner a testament to their unbreakable alliance forged in the fires of that fateful plaza night. Mornings began with Ji-hoon in the kitchen, sleeves rolled up as he pureed organic sweet potatoes for Kai, while Liana reviewed donor reports on her tablet, their feet tangling under the marble island in casual intimacy that spoke volumes more than words ever could, his free hand often drifting to her waist in a possessive caress that still sent shivers down her spine, despite the months of shared battles and bliss. Kai, now a chubby 6-month-old bundle of curiosity, gummed at a teething ring shaped like a dragon. Ji-hoon's nod to his heritage, his dark eyes tracking his parents' every move with that uncanny awareness that made Liana wonder if he'd inherited not just looks, but the instinctual sharpness of his father's underworld edge. The Horizon Haven Foundation had exploded into a beacon for women like her, its app now boasting thousands of downloads, with crisis beacons pinging daily from across the state. Each one vetted through Liana's algorithms before Ji-hoon's teams mobilized discreet extractions, turning their personal redemption arc into a movement that drew quiet admiration from even his most jaded lieutenants. Afternoons often found them in the rooftop garden Ji-hoon had expanded with her input, raised beds bursting with kale and herbs for her prenatal smoothies, a shaded play area where Kai rolled on soft grass mats imported from Japan, and a hammock where they stole moments swaying together. Ji-hoon's arms enveloping her and the baby as he murmured stories of his sole childhood, tales of street markets and hidden dojos that humanized the kingpin she'd once fled. But shadows lingered. Intel trickled in about Black Lotus holdouts regrouping under a new figurehead, whispers of revenge plots targeting Ji-hoon's ports, yet he met each threat with Liana's strategic input, her outsider's eye spotting flaws in rival logistics that his insiders missed, their late-night sessions over whiskey and tea blending passion with planning in ways that left her breathless and empowered. One such evening, as Kai napped under the mobile's gentle sway, Liana's phone vibrated with another wrong number lifeline, this one from a woman named Tara, 26, 8 months pregnant and trapped in a nightmare at Crestview Galleria, her ex-boyfriend Vance sneering over her crumpled form after hurling a wine glass at her head amid Black Friday chaos, the crowd filming as he ranted about her ghetto delusions of grandeur while she shielded her belly on the cold tile. The plea mirrored theirs to chilling perfection. He's here. Can't fight alone. Help. Coordinates embedded. Ji-hoon's number auto-forwarded via the app's silent protocol they'd perfected. Liana handed him the device without a word, their eyes meeting in that electric understanding, the cycle reigniting as they geared up. Kai bundled to a trusted sitter, auntie figure from Ji-hoon's inner circle, before the Bentley peeled out into the night, snow swirling like omens around the headlights. Crestview buzzed with post-Thanksgiving frenzy. But Ji-hoon's arrival parted the sea of shoppers like a blade, 9 shadows in black, tailoring the perimeter as he and Liana strode in tandem, her now in fitted leather pants and a cashmere coat that screamed ally not victim. Vance's face draining of color mid-tirade as his flashy new girlfriend clutched her bags in terror. "Who the hell?" Vance started, but Liana cut him off, stepping into the light with Ji-hoon a step behind, her voice a silken whip. "We've seen your type before, upgraded suits hiding rotted cores, and tonight your world's ending with a whimper, not a bang." Vance laughed nervously, but Ji-hoon's phone illuminated his downfall, hacked feeds showing Vance's real estate flips funded by Black Lotus kickbacks, emails plotting Tara's public shaming to distract from his laundering front, funds already rerouting to Horizon Haven accounts as Liana narrated the takedown live for the filming crowd, turning bystanders into witnesses for the inevitable arrests. Vance lunged clumsily, but Ji-hoon's men swarmed like specters, pinning him effortlessly while Tara rose into Liana's embrace, the two women sharing a nod of sisterhood born from shared scars, cops arriving precisely on cue, with warrants drawn from their planted trails. Back home, Tara settled into a guest wing with prenatal care and therapy lined up, her story fueling the app's next viral wave as media outlets picked up the Mafia Queen saves pregnant victims angle, veiled enough to protect Ji-hoon, but buzzing enough to skyrocket subscriptions. Their nights deepened in intensity, Ji-hoon drawing Liana into his lap post-bedtime routines, hands exploring the curves motherhood had gifted her with reverent hunger, whispering how her strength remade him daily, their lovemaking a fierce reclaiming that echoed through the penthouse like thunder. Challenges mounted, federal probes sniffing too close to Ji-hoon's clean fronts, a Black Lotus mole in his ranks exposed by Liana's data sweeps, but they dismantled each with surgical unity, her foundation laundering threats into triumphs. Kai's first steps taken on the study rug amid victory cheers. Another ping shattered a quiet holiday brunch. Mall fight. Pregnant. Desperate. Ji-hoon smirked across the table, syrup dripping from his fork as Liana grinned back, their hands linking over pancakes. The saga perpetuating in endless loops of rescue and rapture. Winters turned to springs. Kai toddling into toddlerhood with a vocabulary, mixing English babble and Korean commands. The family jetting to Jeju Island retreats, where Ji-hoon taught him to skip stones on black sand beaches. Liana, capturing moments on a phone now etched with their vows. Horizon Haven chapters sprouted nationwide, each led by a plaza survivor like Selena and Tara, the app's AI, Liana's brainchild, predicting crises before texts flew. Ji-hoon's empire fortified by her innovations that turned rivals' aggression into expansion fuel. Yet the core remained unchanged, that primal thrill of answering the call, pulling another soul from the abyss, their love a bonfire fed by vengeance's embers. One balmy summer eve, as Kai chased fireflies in the garden, a final text glowed, "X mocking me here, help me rise." Liana leaned into Ji-hoon's side on the balcony, wine glasses clinking, ready to ride into the fray once more, their legacy etched in saved lives and shattered X's, eternal. Years wove their tapestry around Liana and Ji-hoon's unyielding saga, Kai blossoming into a sharp-minded 5-year-old with Liana's infectious laugh and Ji-hoon's unerring gaze, the penthouse evolving into a sprawling haven where family portraits mingled with tactical maps on the walls, each frame capturing moments of triumph. From Kai's first Jeju beach sprint to Liana's TEDx talk on resilient motherhood that went viral, racking up millions of views and funneling donors into Horizon Haven's global network, now spanning 10 countries. Mornings thrummed with routine magic, Ji-hoon flipping kimchi pancakes at dawn, while Kai helped by stirring batter with a wooden spoon too big for his hands, Liana sipping matcha at the island, her tablet open to overnight crisis pings from the app's AI that flagged dangers before they escalated, their conversations a seamless blend of parenting hacks and preemptive strikes against lingering Black Lotus echoes. Kai's nursery had upgraded to a big kid room adorned with glow-in-the-dark constellations and a mini command desk stocked with kid-safe laptops where Liana taught him basic coding, planting seeds of the digital savvy that had saved her, while Ji-hoon shared tales of Korean folklore, tigers and scholars, to instill cunning wrapped in honor. The foundation stood as their crown jewel, chapters in Seoul, Busan and New York's underbelly, offering not just shelters, but empowerment boot camps where survivors like Tara and Selena mentored newcomers. Liana's original app, now a Fortune-featured powerhouse with venture backing that Ji-hoon quietly influenced from shadows, turning profits back into raids on trafficking rings disguised as corporate expansions. Evenings often culminated in balcony rituals, the city skyline a glittering kingdom at their feet, Kai between them on a blanket fort as they decompressed, Ji-hoon's arm around Liana's shoulders, his fingers tracing lazy patterns on her arm while she leaned into him, their whispers weaving dreams of legacy schools and offshore safe havens funded by his port's ironclad reign. Threats persisted. A Black Lotus splinter attempting a dock sabotage thwarted by Kai's innocent doodle of a secret map that mirrored Liana's data patterns. But they crushed each with laughter-fueled strategy sessions. Kai oblivious, yet somehow part of the weave. His hugs the ultimate armor. One golden autumn dusk as leaves swirled like confetti over the avenues, Liana's phone hummed alive with the familiar cadence. Oak Ridge Mall brawl. Pregnant. Ex-raging. Save me? The coordinates fresh. The voice behind it, a trembling 25-year-old named Riley, cornered by her sneering ex-fiancé Blaine. Wine flute shattering against her temple in holiday shopper pandemonium, the crowd's phones capturing his venom about her street trash glow-up, as she curled fetal on marble, guarding her 7-month swell. The cycle spun eternal. Ji-hoon's eyes meeting Liana's across the dinner table, mid-bite of bulgogi. A shared grin sparking, as Kai clapped obliviously, the Bentley revving minutes later with the family unit mobilizing. Liana coordinating app relays from shotgun. Ji-hoon barking clipped orders to his phalanx, Kai with the sitter network on speed dial. Oak Ridge parted like the Red Sea for their arrival, 10 shadows sealing exits as Ji-hoon and Liana advanced in sync, her stride queenly in stiletto boots and tailored coat, Blaine blanching mid-rant beside his bleached blonde fiancé, clutching designer totes. Liana claimed the spotlight first, voice a velvet blade slicing silence. We've dismantled your kind before. Your flips, your fronts, your fragile egos, and tonight, Riley rises while you rot. Blaine sputtered threats, but Ji-hoon's screen flared with the kill shot. Blaine's brokerage bled dry into foundation vaults, leaked chats exposing Black Lotus ties, and Riley's swiped startup pitch. Sirens wailing as prepped PD swarmed with cuffs and warrants, Riley enfolded in Liana's steady embrace, amid cheering bystanders turned viral witnesses. Post-rescue, Riley integrated into the sisterhood wing, her case exploding Horizon Haven's metrics, as pundits dubbed Liana the shadow philanthropist. Subscriptions surging past 7 figures, Kai proudly wearing a tiny foundation tee during playdates. Nights sealed their bond in raw passion, Ji-hoon pinning Liana against penthouse windows overlooking the neon empire, bodies colliding with the ferocity of survivors turned sovereigns. Whispers of "mine forever" gasped between breaths as Kai dreamed soundly halls away. Horizons broadened, Kai enrolling in elite academies blending martial arts and MIT prep. Liana keynoting Davos on tech for good, while Ji-hoon sealed cartel truces offshore, their union the envy of shadows and spotlights alike. Yet the heartbeat remained those midnight pings, each wrong number a siren call to perpetuate their mythos, pulling another from X's wreckage into redemption's blaze.